好，我们今天要来学课本第54页华尔兹Waltz，然后它上面的标题是写弹奏4拍，不是3/4拍，然后 Waltz。好，然后我们开始。
Both the dance and the music form, but more so the music form. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about how it works and what it is, and we're going to listen to some famous examples on both the piano and the orchestra so you can get a good sense of what the waltz is supposed to sound like. And I'm doing this for next week when I, spoiler alert, provide a waltz tutorial on the website. So this just gives you a little bit of background info. All right, let's hop to it. Alright, so what is a waltz? A waltz was a popular song form back in the 1800s or the Romantic era, especially in Vienna, which was kind of like still is, a big musical hub in Europe. Though a lot of waltzes were written to be danced.
好，这里呢是在说，大部分的华尔兹呢都是拿来写跳舞的，用来跳舞的，但是也有一些人呢，就是为了只是让他听的，就是像是普通的音乐拿来听的，不是拿来跳舞的，就会写的比较快一点。
Some composers instead decided to transform the genre to be purely instrumental and just to be listened to. So an example of this that we're going to listen to really quick is Chopin's Minute Waltz. You could not dance to this if you tried.
这一首就是没有办法跳的，这个只能拿来听的。
Waltzes were composed in triple meter, so usually 3/4 time, and they have like a bop bop rhythm with one chord per bar. So generally the way it works is a low bass note is played for the first beat, and then the other two beats, beat 2 and 3, fill out the chord just a little higher on the piano. So you get something that sounds like this. So you hear and another feature of the waltz too is you'll notice that beat 1 and 2 tend to slur together. So instead of just 1, 2, 3, it's kind of like the second 2 beats are light, but the first and the second beat drag into each other. So
然后它就会华尔兹听起来就像是这样子，梆梆这样子的感觉，这就是华尔兹。然后呢，它的第一拍跟第二拍会感觉有连在一起，就像是它刚才这样子。
It's kind of like slur together. And another feature of the waltz too is you'll notice that beat 1 and 2 tend to slur together. So instead of just
就是这里，这是没有连在一起的感觉，
1, 2, 3.
就是感觉比较短一点，第二拍会比较短。
It's kind of like the second 2 beats are light, but the first and the second beat drag in.
然后这里就有感觉他们它有拉长一点，第一拍拉长一点就感觉连在一起，就是这样子。这是华尔兹的2个特点。抱歉。
Alicia and welcome. Decided to transform the genre to be purely so you hear and another feature of the waltz too is you'll notice that beat 1 and 2 tend to slur together. So instead of just 1, 2, 3, it's kind of like the second 2 beats are light, but the first and the second beat drag into each other. So this type of pattern you've probably heard before even in modern music because composers like Adele have used it in their songs. I think her song is called First Love, if you want to listen to that has that same pattern. So the waltz as a dance was actually considered rather risque since it's a couples dance that needs the couples to stand pretty close together.
然后华尔兹呢是一个舞，然后它其实是一个2个人的舞。2个人站在一起的跳的舞。
The character of the waltz is very like kind of smooth and elegant and graceful, which when you're interpreting it on an instrument like the piano, basically just means that it's going to have a moderate tempo, about 70 beats per bar, which actually ends up feeling pretty fast when you're playing it, with nice, elegant melodies. One of the most famous waltzes of all time is Johann Strauss's Blue Danube Waltz. So I guarantee you've
然后这一首是一个非常有名的 Waltz。
heard it. We'll play it in a second here, but it has literally been played hundreds of times in movies and all kinds of things, from everything from 2001 Space Odyssey to The Simpsons to Titanic to, I could probably keep going. Among the most famous composers of waltzes for the piano are Johannes Brahms and Frédéric Chopin. So we'll talk about Brahms first. Now, he loved waltzes. He was even known to have said that he wished and lamented that he didn't write the Blue Danube Waltz because he loved it so much. But he didn't compose a whole ton of them, but the ones he did compose are pretty famous. So the one we're going to play here today is his Waltz in A-flat major. It's number 15 from his 39th opus. And it's got that like characteristic sentimental romantic flair that Brahms brings to the table. So one of my personal all-time favorite piano waltzes is the one by Chopin from his Opus 64, number 2. This is the Waltz in C-sharp minor. And it's really beautiful. I'm gonna get you to listen to it, and I want to see if you can hear that but kind of pattern that we talked about earlier being so characteristic of waltzes. And
然后你可以等一下会播下一首是他最喜欢的，然后你可以来听听看有没有听到嘣叭叭这个感觉。
I also want you to think about this. When you're listening to it, do you think Chopin was writing the kind of waltz that was meant to be?
然后你也可以感觉一下这个是不是拿来跳的，还是拿来听的。
Or dance to. And to conclude our discussion on waltzes, I wanted to show you an orchestral waltz by Tchaikovsky from the 1900s. This is from his Sleeping Beauty ballet. Now, you probably recognize that title from Disney. And in fact, if you grew up watching Disney's Sleeping Beauty, you'll recognize the song too that I'm about to show you. So in the Sleeping Beauty movie, this song has the title Once Upon a Dream. So it's a pretty famous children's tune.
然后这个是睡美人的歌，也是华尔兹的。
That is all for our discussion on waltzes, but I want you to